Alright, I did not actually get to do the battle that I was going to do a bat rep of, so I'm gonna do one of a larger battle that was happening the same day. I did get my battle, lost in the third round, but it was a small, like, impromptu one instead of the one that I was really planning on having on here. This is just a picture of a Wood Elf army that was there. I grabbed a picture of it because it was on the next table. I didn't really cover that battle. The battle I covered was Chaos versus Bretonians. I believe the point level was about 1500, and it was a really good battle actually. Although you'll see the result probably didn't live up to what we what I guess the best way of putting it would be how it should have gone. I think it was closer contested than the result would indicate. There we go. Anyways, I will get to showing some pictures and telling you what was happening in each of them. Here we have the Chaos battle lines. You see a Chaos War Shrine there. There's a couple of blocks of. There's a block of Chosen, some warriors on foot. There's also some Marauders on foot, some Marauders on horseback, some Knights in there. I think that's it. There were two Nurgle sorcerers, one Zeech sorcerer, and a Khorne Lord in the army. There's some marks of Slanesh as well. So this was a true undivided army. Not the type of army I would play, but it was it had its moments where it was pretty effective. The Chosen did their blessing here. I do believe they got terror causing, and that was what they got, and that was pretty much it for the chaos deployment. All right, here are the Bretonian lines. Basically, you have your usual assortment of knights. I believe there was every type of knight in the Bretonian army. Two damsels. You had obviously a paladin, standard bearer. You had a lord. You had a group of bowmen, a group of men at arms. The Grail Reliquiem is in there as well. That's on the far side there, and on the behind that building there are some Pegasus Knights. That was the army pretty much. So very mobile, more charge oriented, but it had the range advantage. Oh, there's a trebuchet in there as well on top of the uh, mountain cliff area there. So here we have basically the positions before the clashing really starts. The Chosen had taken some fire from the Bowman and the Trebuchet. You can see them beside the Chaos War Shrine there. They'd lost a few members. They had, I believe, the Zeech Sorcerer with them. The group of warriors there had the Nurgle. Key choice here that came back to haunt the Chaos player would be putting his Khorne character in a block of Marauder Horsemen where it really didn't do a lot. That would be the simplest way. So nothing really had happened here, just some shooting. The Bretonians took a couple of wounds from some magic, particularly from the Nurgle level 1 spell that takes a wound off you. I honestly can't remember the name off the top of my head. But this is basically where we are before we get into the real killing. Alright, so hostility kind of begins in the center of the board here. You can see the Marauder Horseman and the aforementioned Khorne character are in battle with the Grail Reliquiem. You can also see the Marauder Horseman on foot with the Nurgle Sorcerer in there. You can see the Chaos Warriors. I do believe they had the Mark of Khorne. They have a Sorcerer of Nurgle in them. That's probably where I would have put the Juggernaut personally, or with the Knights. You can also see there's some men-at-arms there. There's a group of knights. I do believe they're Grail Knights. And you can see the bowman there. The combat would be highly not as effective as the Chaos player would like at this point, because he did not punch through the Grail Reliquim, and that really started things off on a very sour note. His magic also at this point was really not working, and that probably didn't help. So we've detailed the position in the center where Chaos kind of initiated hostilities. Over here you have the Chosen and the War Shrine facing off against Bretonian Knight Charge. I believe the Chaos Knights were also facing off further over to the left. They would actually lose, which was quite terrible. So this whole area just went very much against the Chaos forces. The War Shrine had blessed the Chosen, but it would get popped, as would probably be expected. I do apologize for some of the crappy quality of the pictures. The camera I'm using has a somewhat broken autofocus, so it doesn't work as well as one would hope. Anyways, this was just somewhat disastrous. Outside of the Chosen chewing through some Bretonian knights, the Chaos Forces really had problems here. And at this point, their magic it's still not really coming into play. Neither is the Bretonian magic, but the Bretonians weren't relying on magic the same way that Chaos was to try to pull out the win here. So far, Chaos not looking so good. Here we are at what I'm going to call the turning point on the Chaos left flank. Up to this point, the battle was going against Chaos, but this was the time where it really spiraled out of control. Those Marauders there are about to completely get eliminated by the. You can see some Knights over there to the north. You can see some Men at Arms. They also get in on the act, and the Grey Reliquim is engaging the Marauders. Um, this was quite a this was basically where things started getting all quagmired for the Chaos Forces. The left flank completely collapsing at this point. Just the warrior block there over there. They would eventually pull off Rot Glorious Rot, though, which would drive the bowman off the board and do a number of casualties. But in the end, it was just too little too late. At this point, the left flank completely collapsing. The right flank was at this point manned entirely by just a group of Chosen and a sorcerer's Zeech. They were having a great time. Like, they had accumulated a number of blessings and were punching through everything that they'd come across, but that was about the only good part of the battle for the Chaos player. So this is basically the last stand of the Chaos Forces in the center. You can see the Chosen in there. Yeah, the Chosen surrounded at this point. That's the last Chaos unit. You have some Pegasus Knights. You have the, I believe, the General's unit, which was Grail Knights, I believe, basically stacked up against these Chosen. These Chosen have been incredibly beefy all game, though. They were the only unit that just repetitively did its job for the Chaos Forces. They had, I think, like 4 blessings at this point from just wrecking through duels. They were doing excellent. But in the end, the mobility basically meant that the Bretonians could have just left them alone and actually won the match, but they decided to go for the complete massacre here, and it worked. Unfortunately, the Chosen getting completely wiped out. Basically, Chaos Magic came in like way too late. I believe it was about the 4th turn when he finally pulled off anything big, which I believe was the Rot Glorious Rot, which led to probably the most amusing dance I've ever seen at the Hobby Kingdom. That being said, the result ended up being one-sided, despite the gameplay being, I think, I got a little cut off at the last bit. I was about to say the gameplay had been more equal than the game appeared to be. The devices hadn't really favored Chaos at any point in this game. You can see this is basically how we end up. We see the Men at Arms are still there. The Grail Reliquim is actually still there, although I believe it was being packed up at this point. You also have a couple of groups of Knights, Pegasus Knights. In the far right corner there, that's actually just a dead pile. And the Trebuchet left. You can see there's nothing left of the Chaos Force at this point. A brave effort by Chaos, but perhaps a poorly constructed army list. At least one element of it, which was the Marauder Horseman with the Khorne character, that really failed to do anything because you took away the fast cavalry abilities of the Marauder Horseman, the way he had equipped them, and going up against the Knight Heavy Army, they were going to get punched through, and I think it was somewhat ironic that it was actually the Grail Reliquim that punched through them, and number of standards were captured. The only hope, it may have actually been close had the Chosen lived. They had captured a number of banners, and had killed the general, I do believe, and number of other things that may have kept this close on victory points. But once the Chosen were done, obviously it was over. I think I was incorrect in stating the point level before, as I don't believe you're allowed to have a Lord at 1500, and so this must have been a 2500 game, because I do remember there being a 500 in there. Anyways, that was the game, and I do hope you enjoyed the battle report here.